You guys are about to get everything you've asked for. And I don't just mean the overwhelming results of the poll, either. Hello and welcome back, my fairies. I'm Matsuyorific, and this is part 3 of What If Adrien Had a Twin Sister? In the last part, we got to see a majority of Season 1 of Miraculous, with the twist of Adrien having a twin sister, Adriana. Now, in the last part, I asked you guys if you would want to see the series stick closely to show canon, or if you would be okay if we added in some more original stories that felt more like they were, well, written by me. And you guys said yes, which I'm really grateful about, especially with the overwhelming results of the poll. As of recording this, it's at 20% no and 80% yes. So I absolutely am loving the fact that you guys are so confident in my ability to tell you guys a good original story. So, hey, yay. So yeah, I'm excited for that. Now don't worry, we're still going to be covering the show itself. We're just going to be adding more than just one extra character. The second half of Season 1 didn't really have as much we could do as far as changes. Once Adriana discovered her brother was Cat Noir, she was able to cover for him a bit more and help him sneak away to transform, but that was about it. Volpina is the last episode we've yet to cover from Season 1, and while I don't think it should change due to being such an important part of the story, you know, introducing Master Fu and allowing Marinette access to the other Miraculous, we could still at least try to fit Adriana into the episode. Let's go over the first half of the episode bit by bit. The first scene shows Adrien about to leave for his fencing practice. Adriana doesn't take fencing, but for the sake of argument, we could say she's going too. Other characters are at the school too, so Adriana's probably there for whatever Marinette and Ollie are there to do. As they're leaving, they overhear Gabriel on the phone and see him put the grimoire away in the safe. Even with Adriana there, it still plays out the same with Plag opening the safe and they find the book. Adriana wouldn't even have time to question it before Natalie comes in and finds them. So that really wouldn't change much. They meet Lila later at school and... yeah, anyone who makes Adrien make that face is not going to fly with Adriana. Those of you who say that Lila would be better for Adrien than Marinette need to get your eyes examined, because this is the first face we see him make around her. And this is the second. Oof, this girl is asking for it. Since we don't get to actually hear the conversation they had on the staircase, it's hard to say how Adriana would be able to contribute, but Lila does mention doing their history homework together when they're in the library, so we can guess that's probably what they're talking about. With that being the case, Adriana would be hard-pressed to find a way to stop her completely, but she'd still follow him into the library. She's not about to let Lila spend any time alone with her brother. When Lila steps away, they would get the grimoire out and try to look at it, but Lila, of course, barges back in as usual, and the topic of superheroes inevitably comes up, causing Lila to insist they meet up at the park. Adriana would want to come along, but I think Adrien would insist she stay behind. If Lila is indeed as close to Ladybug as she says, it might be best if he goes alone in case there's something Adriana shouldn't hear. Adriana would not like this, though. She sees the way Lila looks at him, and she does not like it. Adrien would then call her out for being overprotective, and... yeah, okay, fine. But you watch out for her. I don't trust that girl. But how is she able to be so perceptive of Lila when everyone else was so smitten with her? Well, I think it all boils down to the fact that she and Adrien are celebrities. Adriana would know that people treat them differently because they're famous, so she'd be on the lookout for people who try to be fake just to get close to them. It's one of the reasons why she was so impressed with Marinette back in the Bubbler. By not telling Adrien about the scars, she showed that she cared more about making sure Adrien was happy than she did about getting together with him. If Marinette was just some fangirl who was only interested in him because he was handsome and famous, she wouldn't have hesitated to tell him she made the scars and not their father. Lila, on the other hand, is exactly the type of person she would have been warned about. Man, it's too bad they can't just pull a Hannah Montana and hide their identities at school. That would solve so many problems. The rest of the episode would play out the same as before, with Adriana telling Adrien she told him so later on, but the day isn't over yet. We move right along into episode 1 of season 2 as Adrien realizes that the book he took from his father's office is no longer in his bag. The twins are then confronted by Gabriel and Natalie with the footage of them taking the book out of the safe, and are punished by being pulled from school. Twins are devastated. They have to get that book back. Adriana would insist on covering for Adrien while he transforms to go find the book, but he still gets delayed when he leaves, just like in the original, with Ladybug calling and saying that she's figured out who Hawkmoth is. He goes to meet up with Ladybug and is heartbroken to hear that his father might be Hawkmoth. Not sure what to expect, he texts Adriana and tells her about Ladybug's theory, insisting she finds someplace safe to hide in case things go south. Adriana is equally devastated to hear this news and prays Ladybug is wrong. At the same time, she doesn't want to leave Cat Noir to potentially face their father alone, so she hides in Adrien's closet thinking they might go through his open window. Of course, she sets up the piano recording too to make sure Adrien still has an alibi in case it turns out not to be their father. We then get the whole fight with the Collector, and while Adriana is glad to see her father akumatized, thinking there's no way he could be Hawkmoth now, she's still concerned with the fact that her father has just been akumatized, and their father-son fight is now even more unavoidable. At least this is sort of better. The rest of the episode plays out as usual, with Adriana staying hidden until Gabriel leaves the room. It would be kind of awkward if she revealed she was hiding in Adrien's closet without Adrien. Marinette later returns the grimoire, and Gabriel agrees not to tell the twins she had it, and they're allowed to return to school. Despair is another episode that's barely changed. Adriana would have Adrien's back when he tells Chloe she needs to be nicer, but sympathizes with her when everyone starts making fun of her teddy bear, since she knows how much that bear meant to Chloe when they were younger. Prime Queen is next, and while there wouldn't be too much room to change, I do feel like we could make Adriana one of Prime Queen's targets. She'd be pretty open about her support of Cat Noir, so Prime Queen would have a reason to target her. If Chloe is Ladybug's biggest fan, then Adriana is Cat Noir's. Hawkmoth would at least try to keep Adriana out of it, but he knows he can't go too far to protect his daughter without risking his own identity. This would raise the stakes for Cat Noir as well, since that's his sister. I mean, he's a big fan of her music. Ultimately, though, not much else would change here either. Befana's next, and I think Adriana would stick around to defend Marinette once Adrien sneaks out to transform. Marinette was the most amazing friend back on her birthday, so now it's time to return the favor. This sentiment would cause Befana to turn her into an angel alongside Rose and Sabine, which again would make for some interesting drama with Cat Noir having to fight his sister. Of course, he'd still do what he has to do, and he knows Ladybug would fix everything later, but he still doesn't want to hurt her. Riposte I don't think would change at all, since all the non-hero stuff takes place at fencing practice, which Adriana wouldn't be a part of. Robustus also wouldn't change, since that's more of a Max-focused episode. Gig and Titan is next, and for this one, we'll include Adriana in the girls' planning session for how to get Adrienne together on a date. She wouldn't be there physically, she'd be on a video call through someone's phone. Everyone gets a flower code name, so let's say Adriana is Snapdragon. Her role in the plan is to go look for their bodyguard when they realize he's not there to pick them up, so that Adrien is left alone with Marinette after the photo shoot. Of course, things go south when little August gets akumatized, and Adriana tells Adrien to go transform while she goes to check on their bodyguard, who just got tossed several yards into the air. Poor guy got slobbered, then thrown across the plaza. If anyone asks why she's not with Adrien, she can just say they got separated when Gig and Titan went on his rampage. She would join the girls in distracting Gig and Titan, but I don't think their bodyguard would let her out of his sight, and instead they'd just be looking for Adrien. Dark Owl would also go unchanged, and Glaciator would see Adriana trying to get Adrien to come to Andre's for ice cream with the rest of the group, but he's still holding on to hope that Ladybug will come for their romantic dinner date, and she'd have to figure out how to break the news to Marinette that they can't make it. She could have tried to go by herself, but it would be hard to explain how she could make it if Adrien couldn't. Gorzilla would see Adriana as kind of the third wheel when they're trying to make it to the movies with Marinette, but she would be able to help out with the plan to have Adrien distract Gorzilla while Cat Noir does his thing. I think Ladybug would plan for both of them to be the distraction, so they would still need Wayham's help, but Adriana could at least add to the cover by using her protectiveness over Adrien as an excuse for why he can't do it. Please help me keep my brother safe. I couldn't bear it if he got hurt. Sabatis would see no changes, and Captain Hardrock would only see Adriana joining Rose on vocals at the very end, as the second honorary member alongside Adrien. Zombie Zoo also wouldn't change, other than maybe Adriana sacrificing herself to one of the kissing zombies to save her brother. After that, it's time we get to our first original plotline of the series, and it's something one of you even predicted. I've had this idea in mind for a while, but Latali Cat actually commented on part 2 that they wanted to see Adriana borrowing the Cat Miraculous for one adventure. And I think the gap between Zombie Zoo and Siren is the perfect time for this. Now, last week I did a poll over on Twitter asking which underused villain you'd want to see again. What I didn't tell you is that I was planning on using these results for this exact scenario. Dark Cupid won, which is perfect since he won't get together with Nadine until the next episode. Think of this as sort of part 1 to Siren. We start off the episode with Adrien sick in bed. Poor boy's got a fever, but what else would you expect between his busy schedule, homework, and being Cat Noir? He has to stay home today, and not only is Natalie enforcing this, but so is Adriana. I can't spend all day in bed. What if there's an Akuma? Ladybug can go one day without you following her around. Besides, if you try to fight in your condition, you're only going to make yourself worse. I'm serious, Anna. What if she needs my cataclysm? Or if the villain turns out to be really strong? Gosh, why do you have to be so stubborn when it came to Ladybug? Fine. Tell you what, you get some sleep and I'll keep an eye out on the news and the Lady blog. That way if a supervillain appears, I can wake you up and at least then you'll be well rested. You promise you'll wake me up? She locked her pinky with his and promised that no matter what, she would make sure that Ladybug did not go without her kitty. She didn't seem like she was lying. Fine, he'll get some sleep. Meanwhile, further away downtown, Kim would make yet another attempt at trying to woo Chloe. Unfortunately, she's Chloe, and is very harsh in her rejection and breaks his poor heart. This leads to Kim getting akumatized right after Adrien finally falls asleep. Great, now what? She can't let him go like this, he'll only get himself hurt. Or worse, Dark Cupid could actually get his miraculous. If his identity gets revealed and their father finds out, there's no way he'd let either of them ever leave the house again. You promised to wake him up if there was an Akuma, though. He's sick, Plag. He can't fight like this. If only there was some other way. If only there was another Cat Noir, then maybe... Maybe. Plag did not like the look on her face right now. Oh no, I know that look. If Ladybug finds out someone knows Cat Noir's identity, it could get him in big trouble. It'll be fine, Plag, she'd say as she delicately slips the ring off Adrien's finger. I'll just tell her there was no other choice. And I did promise that no matter what, Ladybug would have her kitty. I just didn't say which kitty. Plag, claws out! And so we get Kitty Noir. Though for those of you who aren't new to this channel, this is more like Kitty Noir 2.0. As unlike the original, who was just Cat Noir if he was a girl, this Kitty Noir would have a brand new design. We'll still call her Kitty Noir for simplicity's sake though. She leaps out the window and heads off to meet up with Ladybug and save Kim. Ladybug, of course, would be skeptical when she sees Kitty Noir. Does that mean Cat Noir told someone his identity? What was he thinking? She's gonna have to tell Master Fu about this later. She'd hate to see him get his miraculous taken away, but this is serious! And he's letting her use it? She's clearly not an akumatized person, since Kim already has that covered. Unless, of course, she stole it? Oh, Cat, how could you let this happen? She approaches Kitty with caution and suspicion. Who are you? What are you doing with Cat Noir's miraculous? Kitty introduces herself and explains to Ladybug that Cat Noir wasn't able to make it today, so she's there as a substitute. Ladybug does try to press her for more info, but Kitty reminds her that she can't tell her too much without revealing Cat's identity. Yeah, okay, that's fair, but he still shouldn't have told her his identity. What if she gets akumatized and reveal it to Hawkmoth? This thought alone would offend Kitty. She would never! She would protect Cat Noir with her life if she had to. She then assures Ladybug that Cat didn't tell her. She's just the only person who knows him well enough to have figured it out. Trust me, no one else is going to figure out he's Cat Noir. Ladybug eventually gives in, realizing they still have a villain to defeat, but she gives Kitty one warning. Watch out for Dark Cupid's arrows. If you're as close to Cat Noir as you say, those arrows could make you hate him enough to spill everything about him. Kitty had to admit that Ladybug did have a point here, but she still didn't like the way she said it. Man, is this how she treats Cat Noir too? Why couldn't he have fallen for someone like Marinette instead? Hawkmoth would of course be excited to see that there's a newbie using the Cat Miraculous, much like he was with Scarabella. He'd have Dark Cupid focus on her, and she'd have to really focus on making sure she dodges every arrow. She can Cataclysm one, but only once. At the very least, this would provide a good distraction so that Ladybug can come up with a plan to defeat Dark Cupid. Man, being Cat Noir is hard. She doesn't know how Adrien does it. Once Kim is safe, Kitty would return home, and Ladybug would go off to talk with Master Fu. Hopefully it doesn't take too long though, she still needs to make a get-well present for Adrien. Once Adriana is home and Plag is fed, she decides to wake up Adrien and tell him what happened. After all, she did promise to wake him up, she just didn't say when. Adrien is of course upset when he finds out what his sister did. He understands why she did it, but Ladybug's already been kind of weird lately with the way she'll leave during a fight and not tell him anything afterwards. It feels like she doesn't trust him as much, and now that she knows he told someone his identity, it could make that worse. Marinette does of course go and talk to Master Fu, and he does think he has an idea as to who Kitty Noir might be. He talks to Tiki in private, because you know Tiki does know Adrien's identity now thanks to Dark Owl, and the two agree that Kitty Noir is probably Adriana. I think Tiki would defend them a little, since she knows how much Adriana cares for her brother, and has always been Cat Noir's biggest supporter. Master Fu decides that it might be okay, but he'd still like to meet her just to be on the safe side. This leads us straight into Siren, which for the most part would still be the same as before, but Master Fu would make sure to talk to both of them at the end of the episode, not just Adrien. Adrien would be nervous about Master Fu meeting Adriana. He knows it's against the rules, but if he loses his Miraculous, then not only will he lose a lot of the freedom that being Cat Noir gives him, but he'd also never get to see Ladybug again. Master Fu assures him that he has no intention of taking away his Miraculous, but that Adriana needs to be aware of how important this secret is. He tells them about the powers of the Miraculous combined, and how imperative it is that Hawkmoth cannot get either of them. No one can know who he is, and no one can know that she knows him. Adriana confirms that she understands, and that she will do everything she can to make sure nothing happens to her brother. Now, if you think Master Fu should take back the ring, I certainly can't blame you, but think about it like this. In Season 4, Marinette is going to tell Alia that she is Ladybug. Since Marinette has no issue with telling someone her identity, not holding Adrien to the same standard would just be hypocritical and inadvertently make Marinette look bad as a result. Plus, Master Fu does still ship the Love Square, so I don't think he'd want to split them up before they even have a chance. Frightening Gale is next, and I think this would be where we finally start to see some payoff with Adriana being a teen idol. I think she would be partnered up with Clara Nightingale for the Ladybug and Cat Noir tribute song, and if anything, this gives Adrien even more of a reason to be a part of this project, since Adriana plays such a major role. Now, she and Clara would still be the main talent, meaning they would still need to search for a Ladybug. When Clara chooses Marinette, Adriana would be so excited! Come on, Marinette, please! You get to spend time with Ran! Plus, it would be so much more fun to do this with a friend! Please! Marinette would of course still refuse, because she doesn't want to risk revealing herself as Ladybug. But then changes her mind when Chloe comes along. The rest of the episode would play out fairly the same, though I do think Adriana would be able to resist being turned into a statue, since she has so much experience with song and dance. Heck, she might even be able to give Ladybug and Cat Noir some pointers, so they can avoid that fate as well. Singing and dancing, it's not so bad, just keep to the rhythm you've always had. Troublemaker, Reverser, Anansi, and Sandboy would all be pretty much unchanged, but Sandboy would still be able to give us a bit more insight into Adriana's character. When Adriana gets affected by Sandboy's power, it manifests her greatest fear, which has already been hinted at a few times before now. Adriana's greatest fear is that people only like her because she's famous. She's a model, she's a teen idol, she's wealthy, she's popular, and a lot of how she acts is just a persona that was forced upon her to make people like her. But what is she without that? Adrien's her brother, he has to like her. And Chloe? Would Chloe even give her the time of the day if she was just an ordinary person? Sure, her friends at school seem to like her, but how much of that was really her? She knows they're all nice and probably would still be her friends no matter what, but because she has that fame, she can never truly shake that feeling of uncertainty. Whenever she meets someone new, they're always going to have that preconceived notion that they already know her, and they'll already have decided that they want to be her friend. This is going to be important for the next part of her story. It's here where we finally start to see that overarching plot I promised you guys with that poll. And it all starts with this comment left by Witchfrog, who was very excited during Part 1's premiere about the prospect of Adriana getting a love interest. Funny enough, I'd already put out a comic over on Tumblr about Adriana's first crush, so let's dive into that a bit more. It all starts with Marinette, Alia, and Adriana hanging out during their free period at school. Marinette's still working on her website, which we've seen her work on in Gigan Titan and Reflect All in Season 3. So Adriana agreed to help her by modeling some of her looks. The twins do like Marinette's designs, and Adriana likes how they're different from what she normally wears, too. She even changes up her hair a bit to better show off Marinette's accessories. I got a lot of inspiration from Rapunzel when coming up with this look, and the bird-shaped hair clip is directly inspired by Rapunzel's Season 2 outfit in Tangled series. Check it out if you haven't, it's really good. Adriana really likes this outfit. She feels like a completely different person in this. She's not Adriana Gress, she's just a girl in a cute outfit. They're about to go do their photo shoot when Adriana bumps into a boy that she doesn't recognize, knocking the book he was reading right out of his hands. And funny enough, he doesn't recognize her either. Does she really look that different? Wait, this is her chance. Her chance to get to know someone as just her, without all the pretense and bias that comes from her celebrity status. The boy introduces himself as Dimitri Argent, and she responds by telling him to just call her Anna. Marinette and Alia are confused by this. They thought only Adrien was allowed to call her that. She insists that she wants to make it up to him for bumping into him like that, and he seems kind of confused. Why would a pretty girl like her want to waste time on someone like him? She insists though, so he agrees to meet with her after school. She's gonna need to get Adrien to cover for her, but with how many times she's covered for him when he needs to go transform, he kind of owes her. Marinette and Alia are a little confused as to why Adriana wasn't honest about who she was with Dimitri. She explains to them, and they do understand, though that does kind of hurt a little bit. Don't get her wrong, she loves her friends, and she knows they're not like that, but she's never really been able to make a friend completely from scratch like this. And that's okay, they understand. But Alia's still going to send the video she took to Adrien. With how much she teases him and Marinette, it's about time the girl got a taste of her own medicine. Sure enough, Adrien agrees to cover for Adriana, with him making sure to at least get one jab in about her date with her new boyfriend. She meets up with Dimitri after school and is still wearing the clothes that Marinette made. She wants to see this through properly, and she can return them to her the next day at school. Adrien and Dimitri decide to just hang out, go for a walk, and maybe even stop by a cafe for something to eat. She apologizes again for knocking his book out of his hands, and he responds with, "Hey, no use crying over a spilled book." This gets her to laugh, because you know how much the twins love their corny puns and jokes, and Dimitri's actually kind of surprised. He didn't think she'd find that so funny. And her laugh's kind of cute. Oh, he better stop that. That's clearly not going to happen. They continue to talk, just enjoying each other's company, and blushing. On both sides. Aw, they're cute. They get to the cafe, and Adrien is excited to get some sweets. She loves them, but she can't really have them too often because, well, you know. Dimitri sees this and offers to pay so she can get a little extra, but she insists that she doesn't mind paying. Dimitri then gets kind of sad because he was hoping to do something nice for his first friend in Paris. Wait, first friend? Oops. he didn't mean to say it like that. He then explains how he just moved to Paris a few months back and hasn't really made any friends since he got here. In fact, he's never really had any friends at all, so yeah, she's kind of the first. Ouch. She knows how that feels, and unlike her, he doesn't even have a sibling to keep him company. But he's not lonely. He has books. It sounded a lot less lonely in his head. Their conversation then gets interrupted when the Adrien's ad plays on TV. Dreamy, carefree, radiant. Oh, why? Why does that have to play now? She's not even in that ad, but it's still so embarrassing. So, you're sick of those ads too? You could say that. I mean, they're everywhere. But Mr. Agrest does seem to get a little carried away with marketing, especially with that dumb perfume ad. You could say that again. Still, must be nice to be so lucky. Lucky? Who? Those twins from the ads. I mean, the whole city practically worships them while they do nothing but sit there and look pretty. Ooh, that was not the right thing to say. You don't even know what you're talking about. You think it's easy? Having to wear all those outfits, spending hours in hair and makeup, all those hot lights, and the embarrassing poses? Not being able to go to school until you're 14? Spending your entire life only having 2 friends, one of which is your own sibling? Tell you what, if you think it's so easy being an Agrest, why don't you put on one of those outfits and go parade around for everyone to gawk at for hours on end? Dimitri was dumbfounded. He had no idea where all this was coming from. He couldn't ask her though, because the next thing he knew, she was storming out of the cafe. He tried to go after her, but she was already gone. Great. He finally made a friend after so long, and he goes and scares her off by saying something stupid. He did hear that those twins went to his school, so maybe she was friends with him or something? Hopefully he can make it up to her, but I think we're going to go ahead and end things here for right now. Once again, I'm going to leave you guys with a poll. Not about Dimitri, but about Style Queen. With Adrien being turned into a glitter statue, and Adriana being well aware that this means Cat Noir won't be able to help Ladybug to save him, I feel like she would be more proactive in trying to make sure Ladybug is successful. So my question to you is this. Should Adriana get to use the Bee Miraculous? If you vote for Adriana to get it, then Chloe is going to have a lot of her involvement in the story removed, and she'll never get to be Queen Bee. It'll also mean that Chloe never gets to have her superhero arc either. If you vote Chloe, her story will still play out similarly to the original, but who knows how having Adriana around might affect her development, especially since Marinette would now have another person on her side who believes in Chloe's potential for good. Let me know by voting in the poll over on my community tab linked down below. Thank you guys for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more videos from me. We do all sorts of fun stuff on this channel, including playing video games, we do art, and I'll sometimes talk about cartoons and anime. So if you enjoy this stuff, then be sure to ring that bell icon to never miss a video. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I hope you all have a very magical day.